I wake up at 4 a.m. and I've been doing so for the last 4 years, every single day. And in this journey of graduating from UCLA 3 years ago with a 3.87 GPA, top 6% of my class, to fast forwarding now to today where I've done over $16 million in sales with 2 different businesses, I can heavily attribute the success that I produced to the work I get done early in the morning. So in this video, I'm going to break down my thought process behind why getting up is so early and the 5 core components of my morning routine from 4 a.m. all the way until about midday. If you are new here, feel free to scroll back to any of my videos because you will literally see videos from 3 years ago where I'm a broke college student at UCLA. It's literally me getting up at 3 a.m. in college. And then you'll see videos of me in my first couple years in my business career where I continued to do so. And every single year in my career, I went $600,000 my first year out of college, $4 million my next year, and over $8 million in the 3rd year out of university. Now, quick disclaimer, because I can already see people saying, Richard, you have no life. This is not sustainable. You're just burning out. First and foremost, I've not burnt out doing this for 4 years. And it's not just me. There's guys you might know like Alex Ramosi, who is infamous for saying that during his prime time when he scaled his company to over $35 million a year, he would wake up at 3:30, 4 a.m. and just work for the first 5 hours a day with no distraction. Now, that being said, let me explain my thought process behind why waking up at such an ungodly time in the morning is so important. You might be familiar with a concept called deep work. And deep work is essentially getting into a flow state by getting a lot of work done with zero distraction. Well, it turns out there's not a lot of times of the day that you could have zero distraction. Because when 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. kicks in and you're either go to school, classes start, if you're working, you have meetings, or if you work remote online, you got to jump on Zoom calls. During that time, you have a million different notifications that are bombarding you from your iMessage, from your text messages, to your email, to your Slack notifications, to your Telegram, to whatever the 40 million other social media platforms that are trying to grab at your attention. And I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried to actually get deep work done once your meetings actually start, it just doesn't happen. Personally, for me, once I have my first meeting of the day, typically there's things that my team, my employees need from me, and so I have to actually answer to them or give the things that they need or respond to that email, and I constantly am just in a state of interruption as the day has already started. And so really the only 2 times that you can get deep work done is either early in the morning before your meetings start or late at night when all the meetings are already over. Now, either of these times work. In fact, I have friends that are major night owls and they might work really late into the night. And I also have successful friends, including myself, that wake up early in the morning and get all our deep work done in the morning. The bottom line is that you just have to choose a time. And I've been doing this ever since when I was at university. I would notice that I would get way better grades and have way more focus because I would see that my friends would try to do homework when they're in universities or sitting down in the library, but they would get interrupted because they would have to go grab lunch, or they would bump into a friend in the library, or they just check their phone. And all of a sudden, 4 hours of their work I'm getting done in 45 minutes at 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, a really common question that I get from beginners once they actually get their deep work down is, well, Richard, what do I do with all this free time? And chances are, if you're watching this video, you are ambitious. You do want to make an income online if you don't already have a successful business. And I don't have enough time in this video to explain what you should be doing with the time, but I actually put together my most in-depth, valuable video with over 150 hours of video editing put into it. I break down something called the Opportunity Codex, which is a diagram that breaks down the 5-6 most popular business opportunities and which one you should get started depending on whether you're very advanced or beginner. I would highly recommend, if you are looking to figure out how to use the time that you've been able to create from deep work, I'll leave it as the first link in the description. Once you're done with this video, you should definitely check that one out. Now on to the 5 core components of how I actually structure my 4 a.m. morning routine. The first rule that I have is called snoozing is losing the first battle of the day. And let me break down what I mean by that. Now, a lot of people don't really care about the snooze button. If you think about most people, and maybe this is you, let me know in the comments if it is, you have on your iPhone the alarm that goes off. Let's say you wake up at 6 a.m. You go ahead and you hit the snooze button on the alarm, and 3 minutes later, it goes off again. And you hit the snooze, and you hit it again. And you keep smacking that thing, and after 4 or 5 times, or if you're really bad, 10 plus times, and an hour later, you finally groggily roll out of bed, and now it's 1 hour later. Besides the fact that you just lost out on an hour of your time, the problem with hitting the snooze button is the very first or second time that you hit the snooze button, you are simply refusing to do something that's very difficult, which is get yourself out of bed when you're still in a tired state. And so what I've been able to engineer within myself is every single time I hit the snooze button, I am telling my brain that I would rather get 3 to 5 minutes more of mediocre half-ass sleep than go out and chase the purpose and passion that God has made me in this world. Someone needs to rewind 5 seconds to list them up I can. Because the reality is, you have a purpose and a passion that you are called to. It doesn't matter if right now you're a university student, you're working a 9-to-5 job, or maybe you have a business that you're growing. You have something called where you can make an impact and make a difference in the life of someone else. And I know for a fact that with my role as a business owner with 25 employees and over 500,000 audience members within my social media platforms, I have a dedication and commitment to you to make sure that I'm making an impact by consistently showing up for you every single day. And so my personal rule is that when that alarm goes off, I'm up on my feet and I turn the alarm off. I don't give myself the opportunity to hit the snooze button again. A good way to do this is actually to leave your alarm on the other side of the room. The funny thing is, when I was in college and I actually did this, I had roommates. So my alarm would go off and I would freak out because I would have to run to the other side and turn off the alarm before I would wake up all of my roommates that were also sleeping in the room. So just keep that in mind. That might be a nice little strategy for you. The second rule is what I call the fuel process. Now, if you think about sleeping for 8 hours or 7 hours, however long you're sleeping, your body is going for a third of a 24-hour cycle with no fluids entering at all. You're extremely dehydrated. In fact, if you weigh yourself before you go to sleep versus when you actually wake up, typically you're 1 to 2 pounds lighter after you sleep because you've literally lost a pound or two of water weight just by breathing it out, meaning the water and moisture that is leaving through your lungs is getting evaporated and leaving your body. And so personally for myself, I leave a 16-ounce bottle of water or a glass of water that is poured out and I leave it on my table by my bedside. And so as soon as the alarm goes, I actually chug that thing down. That is literally how I wake up every single day. The second thing I do in my fuel process, and this is only on a case-by-case basis, is if I'm really tired, I utilize caffeine. I know most people drink coffee kind of like it's Kool-Aid and it's kind of just a casual thing. I treat coffee as if it's medication. You take it as needed. And so for me, if I'm feeling really tired, like maybe the previous day I had a really tough workout, maybe I didn't get that good of a sleep, what I'll do is I pour myself a serving of coffee, I'll pop it in the espresso machine, I'll chug it down, and I actually am already ready to go by the time I get to work. The third component is what I call your personal non-negotiables. Now, right after you wake up, you're going to go obviously brush your teeth, wash your face, use the bathroom, do the bathroom stuff, but you're going to want to get right to your desk and get to doing the things that really matter to you. Now, personally for me, before I can actually get into working on my business, I need to take care of two things. Number one is strengthening my relationship with my God. You already know I'm very open about my Christian faith on my YouTube channel. You can go back to any of my YouTube videos and you'll see that. The first thing that I do in my morning routine when I get to my desk is I actually pull up my Bible and I go through a chapter or two. And really all I'm trying to do is read through the passages. Maybe there's a devotional passage or excerpt that comes along with it. But then I just ask, God, what is it that you're trying to teach me today? What can I pull out of this Bible excerpt as a lesson I can apply in my life? I can use to better my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with my team. How can I serve people better? How can I be a better leader, a better servant, be more humble today? And from starting to read the Bible to finishing the prayer, typically 15 to 20 minutes. And then after that, I do my next personal non-negotiable. Now, if you don't know, I have actually been studying Spanish for the last 12 months full, and right now I'm almost fluent. Así que puedo hablar contigo casi fluidamente, pero tengo un acento de gringo porque soy un americano chino. And I don't know if we get too deep into in this video, but I do eventually want to expand my consulting businesses to the Spanish market as well as the Chinese market, because now I am fluent in English, Mandarin Chinese, as well as almost Spanish market, which if you didn't know, reaches about 80% of the world's population, but that's a story for another time. Spanish is something that's very important to me. I speak to my wife in Spanish only. I plan on raising my future kids in both English, Mandarin Chinese, and Spanish. And so one of the things I'm laying as a 24-year-old entrepreneur now is mastering this language, because in the future, I'm not going to be able to have the time to do so. Now for you, it might be something different. Maybe for you, self-development and reading is really important, so you're going to get your reading knocked out. Maybe you don't really have time at your 9-to-5 job to go to the gym, and so the first 45 minutes, you got to knock out doing some training first. Regardless of what it is, whatever that personal non-negotiable is for you, set aside some time first thing in the morning, because realistically, you know, once the day gets started and your meetings and your classes and your family commitments to get going, you're not going to get it done. Get it done first thing in the morning. Principle number 4 is what I call your on the business activities. Now, after I finish my personal non-negotiables, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and only work on 1 to maximum 3 things I know is going to move my business forward the most. These are what I call on the business activities. Now, once I'm in the business, maybe I have to take a client call, I have to take a sales call, I have to get something over to my team that my team members need from me, like maybe recording a piece of content like I am doing for you right now. The thing is, those things are not on the business. They're in the business. They're not things that massively move the business forward. However, for example, building out a standard operating process for my video editor on how she can edit more videos more efficiently, that's a process that I would have built in the morning and could benefit my YouTube channel for years on end. Or building a sales script that my salespeople can go ahead and take, and therefore they could take sales calls without me having to take them. That's building an asset that's going to last me for months on end. All of those activities, what I call deep work projects, are things I do early in the morning and I want to work and hang out here for the next 3 to 4 hours. I have a consulting company that I work with business owners that are typically doing $1 million, $10 million a year. And even for people that are already making $1 million a year, they ask me this question, which is, well, Richard, how do you plan out what things you should do first thing in the morning? Personally, for me, I do a strategy I call planning the day the night before, which is the last 15 minutes of my workday. I will always write down what are the 3 things maximum, preferably just one thing that I need to get done the next morning because it's the most crucial high priority activity. And so pretty much when I sit down and I actually get into my deep work in the morning, I don't have to spend 5-10 minutes pulling up a Google document or notebook or looking at my calendar to figure out what exactly it is I need to get done. I can just look down at a notebook and know, that's right. Last night I wrote down, this is the exact thing I need to work on. So I just get to work. And principle number 5 is no contact with the outside world. That was a pretty fun one because once the day gets going and you open up your text messages, your WhatsApp, your emails, you're screwed because you have so many people, from family members that are trying to reach you, from friends who are trying to catch up with you, from work with colleagues that are just absolutely needing something from you. Your day is controlled by other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. No one has ever bad will for you. In fact, it's the exact same thing for them. But the problem is if you open up your messages, you're going to get bombarded. And so the thing that I do during my deep work is I know, okay, look, if I open up my message platform right now on whatever the social media platform is, I'm going to get bombarded by things. And if I open it, realistically, there might be a problem I have to solve. I'm going to have to respond to something. And so rather than just tempting myself and getting sucked into an open loop where I just spend 2 hours answering people's emails, what I personally make a rule of is I turn off my phone. I do not allow myself to enter in my email inbox, my message platform inbox, any social media platform. In that way, I just work in complete silence. Now, the trick is here, if you're a business owner or leader of any kind, you realistically are going to have to delegate things to other people. So I segment a difference between outbound messages and inbound messages. Inbound messages means I check my inbox of what other people need from me. However, that's different from outbound because outbound is you sending the information to other people. I'll put it on a Google document of messages for me to send out just so I don't actually open up the message software. But the big principle here, you need to be disciplined of not opening up communication apps where people can send you inbound or you can see inbound. Because I don't know about you, but I have so many days where it's super productive in the morning. It's 5:30 a.m. I'm getting into the swing of things. I open up my text messages and I have a major client issue that I've solved and I'm like, crap. Why did I just open that up? Because now my mind's thinking about that. Realistically, my client's not even awake yet, and so he doesn't actually need a response right now. But because I read the message, I'm going to respond to it right now because I have the anxiety if I don't resolve that right now. Now, if you follow these 5 principles that you see on the screen right now, you will make back more time. In fact, I coach my business clients on this, and typically what they see is a 1 to 3 hour lift in efficiency in getting the time back just by implementing these things. So again, if you don't know what to do with this time, especially if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're like, well, Richard, I have a lot of time for deep work now, but what do I do with it? You should probably start a side hustle. And if you're looking for the best way to get started in building an online business, I put together a super in-depth video that took my team and I over 3 weeks to produce. That is my gift to you. It is my best YouTube video I've ever made. I'll leave that as the first link in the description for you to watch after this one. And look, if you scroll back on my YouTube channel to 3 years ago, you will see me waking up at 3 to 4 a.m. literally every single day when I was a 20-year-old university student. And regardless for what your age is, maybe that's just not relatable and you compare yourself to me. I genuinely just want to tell you this as just a friend, which is don't compare your chapter 2 to my chapter 22. I've been doing this for 4 years now. For you, start small. What I don't want you to do if you're currently waking up at 8 a.m. every single day is to start waking up at 4 a.m. because that's just going to be super unmotivating because you do it for 2 days and you just give up. Try waking up just an hour earlier at 7 a.m. Shift it back to 6 a.m. and just try doing that for a week. At the end of the day, it's not about what hour you wake up. It's about how consistent you are with the time that you do get up. And a little bit of extra motivation for you is when you start getting consistent waking up in the morning, you're going to start to see you doing better in other areas of your life. You're going to hit the gym harder. You're going to study harder. You're going to make more money and do your business harder because the principle that I always say is so true. And it's that how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you got value from this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on, and let me know at least 5 principles which one was the most useful for you. Stick around because I'm going to cover in the next video over here the best business opportunities out there that you would absolutely start with the time that you just got back. I'll see you in the next video.